Well, today is a very special day, and no, it's not my birthday, it's not even Christmas, but it is the day that I get to review this brand new 2022 Hummer EV. I found it at Orange Buick GMC in Orlando, Florida, and if you want to reserve one for yourself, you can go to their website, place an order today. Now, why is it special? Because I've been waiting for this day for about 2 years, and that's when GMC announced that actually it's going in production with their Hummer EVs, and they started taking pre-orders for this edition one back in October of 2020. And now almost 2 years later, people are starting to get their vehicles that they ordered 2 years ago, and I have it right here. So today we're going to check it out completely from the exterior, interior, take it for a spin, jump inside of it, play with this amazing technology that's in this vehicle. And even if you're not looking to buy one, I tell you what, at the end of this video, at least you're going to be impressed with it, and you have a brand new appreciation for the brand. I know I did. So before we do all that, guys, if you like watching automotive content, my name is Matt. Here on Matt the Car Guy, I post 2 car reviews every single week. So if you like stuff like this, do me a favor, click that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, helps me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I know I can count on you. Now let's get back to this beast. Before we dive into this beautiful, white, shiny, zero-emission Hummer EV, let's talk a little bit about the history and the heritage of the brand. And as most of you probably know, Hummer was originally developed for the military, for U.S. military. As a matter of fact, the company called AM General produced Hummers from the early 80s up till right now, and they call them the Humvees. Now, there's nothing like this, even though it has a little bit of resemblance in the looks of it, but they're very base. They rarely have anything other than the steering wheel, 4 wheels, a very powerful engine, and a solid frame and body construction that solid that it can actually be dropped from the air. Now in 1999, the General Motors started outfitting the military Hummers into the passenger vehicles, and that's how the H1 was born. Now, it had something to do with the governor at that time, who made some suggestions as why they're not putting it in the civilian market. So the H1 was very popular, was also very expensive, and then they came the H2, which was still a pretty cool looking vehicle. You can still see a bunch of them on the road. It had some off-road capabilities, and then it came the H3, which, you know, didn't serve any purpose in my opinion, but you have your own opinions on that. It was basically a Chevy Blazer dressed up in a Hummer body. So let's take a look at this particular vehicle. Now this is the Edition 1, and the Edition 1 is only available in white with black. So hence every review that you see on YouTube is that color, unless somebody wrapped it or painted it themselves. So let's take a look. First of all, the size of this vehicle. It is massive. As far as the width on it, about 84 inches, hence the positioning lights on top, which every vehicle needs to have. I believe if it's over 80 inches wide. Now it does have the fog lights right here on top, pretty cool. It does have Hummer EV, HEV logos on the fog lights. What's interesting about this vehicle, it does have 3 wiper blades to make sure that you don't miss any water on that windshield. And the design of it, it's cool, right? It's massive. It does have this massive hood, 2 bulges on the side, 1 in the back, black and white, really works well together. And the cool part about this is right here. Check this out, this LED light strip over here. Now this portion right here serves as a turn signal, a daytime running light, which you can see is in this shape of a letter H, or a meter for your charge. So if you do plug it in, this is going to start showing the level of charge in the vehicle right now. Then you have Hummer spelled out in here with a little EV on the side. Scrolling down below, you have this beautiful looking bumper. It does have this black metallic color, really nice. It's still plastic though. And moving down here, this is also a plastic trim that's kind of this polished aluminum. Oh, by the way, if you thought that these were the headlights, they're not. The actual headlights are right here for this vehicle. So scrolling down here, you have this massive recovery hooks. Now this is very beefy, so that's if you need to pull somebody out, because I don't think this thing is able to get stuck anywhere, right? And then underneath here you have a massive skid plate, and then there's skid plates underneath the entire vehicle, so protects the bottom of this vehicle. Now it is an EV, so obviously there is no engine in here, there's no motor in here. So what's underneath here? Well, let's check this out. What's underneath is a frunk, which is the front trunk. And what do we have in here? These are all the goodies that came with this vehicle. So you have a cooler, basically. You also have the covers for the roof panels. Yes, you can take the roof panels off of this vehicle. Now, I gotta tell you, it's not as big as I've seen on the Ford F-150 Lightning, but it is pretty large, considering now it's probably about 10 cubic feet or so, in my opinion. And the only thing that you can see here is the LED light, as well as the emergency unlock in case you get kidnapped by somebody. You can actually get out of this vehicle. Couple things to mention here. This vehicle does have 9 different cameras. One of them is right here. Then there's one underneath the vehicle to show you what's going on if you're off-roading. Well, since there's no engine or motors that are visible, let's talk about the specs of this vehicle. So it does have about 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower on this pickup truck, which is incredible. It's the most in its class. And on GMC website, it says that it does have 11.5 thousand pound-feet of torque. Now that's a little misleading, because that's the torque of all the wheels combined with the 3 motors. Realistically, some people made some calculations and said that it still develops about 1,050 pound-feet of torque or so. Now, I'm not a mathematician and I don't really know how to calculate all that, but there's articles if you're interested in that type of stuff, which still means that it is a very powerful vehicle. Now, it weighs a ton. As a matter of fact, it weighs almost 5 US tons. It weighs 9,600 pounds. But that doesn't stop this 1,000 horsepower from accelerating it from 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. So this is one of the fastest SUV or trucks on the road currently, and I'm really excited at the end of this video to take you for a spin in it. The one thing you can definitely say, look at the side profile is of this vehicle, that it's different than anything else that you've seen. It might be a little bit similarities to some of the pickup trucks, but this is not the same. And quite frankly, it is love it or hate it situation. And I have to admit that when I first looked at the pictures of it before it was released, I didn't really care too much for the design of it. Now it started growing on me as I looked more and more into it. And now that I look at it in person, I'm really starting to like that. So I suggest that if you haven't seen it in real life, come and see it. Maybe if you didn't like it before, you might change your mind. But one thing that you can see, that the sheer size of it is massive, 216 inches long. That's 5 meters, 5.5 meters long. It is about 81 inches high, and that's talking about the regular middle setting, and it's also about 86 inches wide. Not to mention, it weighs over 9,000 pounds. So definitely an impressive looking vehicle as far as the mass of it. Now, as far as that design, they really went to town as far as making sure that this is an off-road ready vehicle, like the heritage of the regular Hummer. So you can see that the approach angle is really good. I don't know the real number on it, but you can see the distance between the bumper and the wheel, and you can see that it can easily climb some of the boulders that are in its way. Now, as far as the wheel and tire setup, it comes standard with the 18-inch rims, very nicely designed. Kind of got this machine finished look on the outside and piano black on the inside, and it's wrapped in the Goodyear Wrangler tires. The size of the tires are 305/70 and 18-inch rim. So those are 35-inch tires. Now GM says that it's also going to be able to fit 37-inch tires. And what's also super important about the off-road capabilities is that it has a fully independent air suspension, so the vehicle can adjust the ride height depending on the terrain that you're driving on and the type of driving that you're doing. So it's going to lower it at the WTF drive mode where you're doing the lounge of the vehicle, and it's definitely going to raise up in the off-road mode as well. So the rest of the design, it's really nice. I like the color of this trim. I told you that when I was looking at it in the front. I like how square the wheel wells are, and then design continues at the bottom right here. It's also important that it does have the side steps because it's a tall vehicle, so it helps you to get in. But the side steps are incorporated with this rock sliders as well. Really nice and solid. As far as the mirror setup, you do have the black and white mirror caps. It does have the heated mirrors, and it does have the blind spot assist in it. It has a camera that's built right over here, and at the bottom there's a light that creates that Hummer logo on the ground. HEV logo right here, and then the roof is black. Now this is, again, this is the only color combination that you can get on the Edition 1, and I really like it. What's also very interesting and unique about this, that it has 4 panels right on top of that you can individually remove and make this vehicle into a convertible almost, and you can store them in the provided bags. You can put them in the front. One pretty cool thing over here is the US flag right at the bottom portion of this trim. Now, I was told it's exclusive to Edition 1, but I haven't confirmed that yet. And then you can see how much of the wheel travel can make. So there's a lot of room in here, and this is not even at the highest setting yet. So let's move on and let's see where this vehicle charges, and that is right here. It does have the largest, currently the largest battery pack that's available on the market, and that's 212.7 kilowatt hours battery. So it's huge. It has a range of 329 miles. Originally, Hummer said that it was going to be 350, but now when they submitted it to EPA, they reduced it to 329. So let's talk a little bit about the charging times on this battery. Now, if you were to plug it into your regular household 110 volt outlet, it will take about 50 hours to fully charge this vehicle. Now, if you have a 240 volt outlet, it will take about 10 hours, and the fast charge at the 440 volt outlet will take you about an hour. Now, and it's not free either, so depending on your kilowatt per hour or kilowatt hour of electricity and how much it costs, you multiply it by about 210. That's about the usable portion of that battery, and then you're gonna get your price to fill it up. Now, there's been some tests made, and I know there's an Electrified America charging station that charges about 43 cents per kilowatt hour. So you multiply it by 210, and you have about, well, close to $100 or so to fully charge this vehicle. So contrary to popular belief, a lot of people say, well, it's free, electric cars, electricity, all that stuff. Well, it's not. It does cost a lot, and it does use a lot of that power. One more thing before we get into the back of this vehicle, I want to show you of how this vehicle lowers and raises up. So let's say you want to make sure that this vehicle is at its lower setting. Lower this vehicle right now so you can see it drops down. We were at the middle setting initially when I started. Now it's at the lower setting. Now you can also raise it up, of course. It has 3 different height levels. So let's move it up. And you can see that it's not even. It goes back and front to raise up this vehicle. And this is your middle setting. And if you want to go up from there, and there you go, the vehicle raises even more. And now we're all the way up. Here's the kicker. If I try to get off this vehicle right now, see how much taller it is, me standing right next to it. It is really, really tall. It also creates all of this ground clearance that you need if you are off-roading. There are several cool features in the back of this truck, so let's get to it. We're going to start with the lights. They're nice, visible, fully LED. They're encased in this clear plastic. We've seen on some Cadillac Escalades, for example, a very similar setup. Of course, not the same shape. These are the shape of the letter H. It does have an H on the side with the Hummer spelled out over here. Hummer is also spelled out on the back gate over here. You have a few buttons over here. I'm going to tell you what they do in just a second. But I like how these lights are encased in the same color trim as you see on the bumpers and the lower trim as well. This metallic black. It's not just a flat black. Pretty cool. You have the trailer hitch, 7,400 towing capacity. Not the most, but substantial. You have the trailer hookups and the camera for the trailer hookups over here as well. Now, again, a few cameras over here. You have the one rear view camera right over here. You have two cameras right on top of that cab over here, and between the lights. I'll give you a close-up of it in just a little bit. GMC spelled out in here, and let's take a look at what these buttons do. So you have two of them. One releases the gate, and that this is a soft open gate, and then the second button basically releases the step. So this is the multi-pro gate. You've found it at several different GMC pickup trucks that creates this step to help you get inside of this bed. Now, if you still were having troubles with it, there's a handle that pops up from here so you can hold on to it while you're going on top of the bed. But before we do that, let's take a look at this bottom portion right here, because this has a very cool option that was added to this vehicle, one of the factory added equipment, and that is a set of speakers over here and the speaker control. So that means that you can actually connect your favorite device to it and play your music while you're tailgating. I'll grab the camera. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up of, first of all, the speakers right there, so you can see there are two kicker system, and then we'll get on to this bed to show you a little bit more about it. So first of all, it does have this spare wheel holder that takes up pretty much half of the space in here. If you want to have two, you'd basically make this bed unusable, but it would look pretty cool though. So, you know, as far as the bed itself, it is a 5-foot bed, and it's a lot shorter than most of the other pickup trucks. It doesn't have as high of a payload either. It does have about 1,487 pounds of payload, so that's substantially less that you can find, like, let's say, on the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is at 2,500. What else is inside this bed? So you can see that there is a household outlet, maximum 400 watts. It does have some illumination in here. And let's go over here. So you have two cameras right underneath here. I hope you can see them right underneath these positioning lights. And right on top of here, you can see those panels that I was telling you about. They are fully removable, so this is a very nice setup. Well, guys, up until now, I almost forgot that I'm looking at a pickup truck. Now, that really reminds me of it, that back seat that's kind of like on the GMC Sierra. Now, the interior is very interesting, and it's very roomy. I do have plenty of room, you know, as far as my headroom, as far as my shoulder room, even as far as my knee room. Even though I push this seat a little bit more back than I normally would just to film the interior of this vehicle, I'm still not touching the front seat. I am 6 feet tall for your point of reference, and there's plenty of room. The interior is very interesting. Let me show it to you. Let's check this out, guys. You can see the interior is two-tone as well as the exterior on this vehicle. It's more black and white. It's pretty cool. It does have some of this bronze accents on it. You can see that on the door handle as well as over here. So this is all fabric, right? This is like the injection plastic molding. This is a little bit of different material used right on top of here. Overall, it's a very positive experience. Now, it does have a lot of this hard plastic here that I don't think we should see in a, you know, a six-figure vehicle. Now, what's interesting in here is you can see the speaker cover, and if you look closer, it is Bose, but it also has like this moon map over here, and we're going to see that a little bit more pronounced in some of the other parts of this vehicle. But that's basically a tribute or a reminder that GM actually was involved in developing the electric rover for the Apollo 15, 16, and 17 mission, and that's why they have a lot of this moon references over here. So check out the back seats, white on top, black at the bottom. Again, this is a fabric, right? This is this very durable looking fabric. This insert right here, it looks like a leather, and then this out here is all fabric as well. So check this out. There's a little storage compartment right inside of here that's out of sight. You can hide some smaller stuff inside of here. You can also open this up, you know, create an armrest slash cup holders over here, and then you can also move those seats up all together, both of them. And if you wanted to have more room, like maybe put your mountain bike inside of here. And check this out, even those floor mats, those all-season floor mats on this vehicle, and the floor itself, it does have this map of the moon in here. So again, another reference to that Apollo 15 mission. In the middle console, what do we have? We have the USB-C and the USB port. We have vents, again, this bronze trim around it, and then you have your regular climate control for the back seat. So it is a tri-zone climate control, one for the back and then two for the front. It does have the heated seats. It does not have the ventilated seats, which is a bummer in Florida. And when I was telling you, this is probably going to be the best angle to show it to you. It does have this transparent roof. Now it's tinted, it's nice, but you can see through them basically. And all four panels, two in the front and two in the back, are completely removable, so you can make this a convertible. And one thing to mention is this glass right here drops down too completely. So if you want to have that airy feeling like driving in a convertible electric pickup truck, you get it in the Hummer. I can't wait to show you the inside of it, but before we do that, let's hear how this vehicle sounds when you close the door. Boom. That's a pretty nice and solid thud if you ask me. Now it does have this typical GM chime, as you could hear. Now in the front door right here, here's what we can see. Hummer EV right here in this white portion of this door panel. Then you have some of the bronze accents. It's very cool looking too. It does have two memory seat, and then you have the mirror window lock controls over here, the standard things. And like I said, more pronounced moon map right here. Now this one has a footprint on the moon, so there was a man on the moon, in case some of you didn't believe that. Right on the door sill over here, you have basically a mimicking of that front grille that you see up in front of the vehicle. And then before we get inside, I want to show you, there's this little bridge over here. Again, there's a little moon map right there, but that's to store even some larger objects, to be honest with you. Now what do we have on the left hand side of the steering wheel? Let's check this out. You have the electronic parking brake, we have the front release, tailgate release, you have the rear window, or all windows down. This is a pretty cool feature, I'll show it to you. And then you have the lane keep assist, the light for the rear bed, and then you can turn on that power outlet that's in the bed. By the way, I didn't tell you that it does have the 400 watt power outlet in the bed. And check out this trim, it's pretty cool looking. Well, if you thought that the exterior was amazing, check out the interior of this vehicle. It packs a ton of technology, yet at the same time, it still maintains that rugged, off-road, burly character of a Hummer. Now, I really like that bronze trim that you can see around here, and this is the Edition 1. It's signified by this badge over here on the inside. And then you have those huge vents. Now 13.4-inch screen, that's one of them. Then it's accompanied by a 12-inch screen and instrument cluster, and a big steering wheel over here. Really nice, massive, good to the touch. Let's take a look at it up close and personal. First of all, on the top of the steering wheel, you have this sensor, and that's part of this autonomous drive cruise control, where you can check this out on the highway. The vehicle is going to pay attention to where you're paying attention, so it's going to look at you and make sure you're paying attention to the road, but it's going to change lanes on a bunch of highways that are marked in their system, and there's like 200,000 miles of that's already mapped out. Overall, the steering wheel, again, the heritage of a Hummer lives right here. Big Hummer EV spelled out in the middle, and then at the bottom you have the HEV in this gunpowder metallic color over here. You have a bunch of buttons on both sides. One of them, this one, is for the cruise control. You have lane keep assist. You also have the front accident braking or front accident detection. This part of the screen basically controls what's going on in your 12-inch instrument cluster. So going to take a look at in a second. Also, one other thing is your regen button over here, so that adjusts the regen braking for the vehicle. So we're going to check that out while driving. Now, first of all, I love this screen, but I also love the graphics of it. There's just something I have never seen in any of the other GM models, and that's because this is when GMC partner up with Epic Games to develop the software for, or the graphics for this vehicle. The software is actually developed by Google Automotive, and that's what runs the infotainment system. We're going to take a look at this in detail, and the combination of the two in conjunction with the Bose stereo that developed all the special sounds and effects for this vehicle is truly amazing. Now, I have to admit that playing with this software for a little bit in this vehicle, I found that it lags a little bit, so maybe they need some over-the-air updates that are going to send out to you. But overall, it's a pretty cool system. When they get all the bugs out, it really is going to be truly amazing. So what we see in front in here, so first of all, you can see like this moon map over here, and you can see that again, this is a connection with that Apollo 15 mission and the GM efforts or the GM involvement in developing that rover for that mission truly lives in here. Let's take a look at what we have. Now, we have several different options. First of all, you have the option for display layout, and we have sport. That's what it is right now. Clean, let's see what that means. So basically cleans it up. You have the lunar display. All right. Sport, off-road, gives you probably some other options. Yeah, roll and pitch. And then the last one is a digital display. So these are your options for the display as far as the layout. Now we go back from here, left side info. What's going to be displayed over here right now? It's compass, and you can have time and temperature if you wanted to, tire pressure, pitch and roll, G-force, or just leave it blank. Right side info, we're in here, info page options, units, speed warning, speed sign warning, software info, reset to default. That's what you have in here. Very nice and very clean system. It also gives you some of the information that you need. So of course, right there is a range, 138 miles left. I believe it was about 40% charge left on this vehicle. So that's what it shows you on the left hand side. On the right hand side, it shows you whether the battery is charging or actually using power. We're standing still, 0 miles per hour. Vehicle's got 227 miles. We're in park. Let's see what else is here. Right now it says no phone connected. I'm going to try to connect my phone and set up the Android Auto because I know it does have the wireless. And here's your info. Trip, 1, 2, timer, tire pressure, driver's assistant, trailer brake, off-road, energy usage, suspension travel. All of those info pages are available to you. Let's go to the music. It kind of looks for it, but it doesn't find anything. Compass, phone, settings, and back to the main screen. So really nice. The one problem that I have with this is, you know, I had to lower this steering wheel a little bit just to be able to see it. So if you are driving, this steering wheel kind of gets in the way, and I'm not sure if there's any other way that they could have done it, but it kind of obstructs the view just a little bit. Now, by the way, you can see I'm moving the steering wheel up and down. It is tilt and telescoping, and it's all electronic, or electric assist, I should say. And now back to this 13.4-inch screen. Okay, really nice design. Again, Hummer EV. Stay in the demo mode for now. And again, pay attention to the graphics, to the icons that are on the screen. Completely different than anything that you've seen probably. And we have audio, maps, phone, energy, Google Assistant, Play Store. Like I said, it was developed by Google Automotive, so that's why you have all this Google icons in here. Cameras, off-road, trailering, rear climate settings, Wi-Fi hotspot, My GMC Studio, My GMC, Google News, and podcast. I probably have to connect this vehicle to the internet to get all of this as functional equipment. So let's take a look at the audio. It does have the Bose audio steering wheel. I'm going to turn that down, unfortunately. But as far as the sources, you have AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, and a USB. So those are your media sources. And then go back to your home screen, Maps. It's going to show you the Google Maps. Well, welcome to Google Maps, and it's going through the setup. Again, we're in the demo mode right now. So turn on location to enable. Let's turn it off. On, actually, I don't really need to learn more. I just need to see the maps. Share trip. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but I have to click OK and done in order to... Come on, I just want to see the map. Can I see the map? And now it's probably not going to load it because I didn't go through the entire setup. So I apologize for that. But I'm going to try to connect the Google or Android Auto to it to see if we're going to see the maps that way. Phone. All right, so that's what it says right here. Manage phones. I actually have my phone stored in here, I believe, or not yet. So Bluetooth pairing, it's really easy. Open your phone, Bluetooth settings. I want to search for this vehicle in Bluetooth. My GMC, I don't know if you can see it over here. I'm going to click on that. Passkey 377146. Hit pair over here, pair over here. Bluetooth pairing. I am connected. We're going to enable Android Auto. And here it is. We have the Android Auto on the screen. It's wireless connection. Like I said, I was playing with it for a little bit, and you know, I have to tell you, this is still work in progress in my opinion. There's still little bugs here and there, but I think once they get it all up and running, it's going to be a pretty sweet system. So it does have this wireless connection. Maps, I mean, you can use the Android Auto, which actually takes up only part of the screen, not the entire one, or you can use the regular maps if we ever get those to work. So let's go back and see what else is here as far as the other settings. Energy settings. It says charging, schedule energy usage as settings. That's what we have in here. Charge now, charge later. Charge level, it's going to give you a range approximately 332 miles, so pretty close to what they're claiming, 329. It's not bad at all. Go back and let's see what else do we have here. First of all, cameras. This vehicle, as I mentioned before, has got 9 cameras, and look at the quality of these cameras. This is really, really, really good. Now, we have several different views that you can see. This is the front view camera, and if I hit that, it's going to switch to the rear view camera in the same type of view. And then we have the top-down camera from the front, top-down camera from the back, and the side cameras from the back and from the front, trailer camera. And if you go to any other camera settings over here, it's moved. There's 2 more camera settings. I want to show you this. First of all, it does have the camera that's underneath the vehicle, right? It's a little bit dirty, so let's clean it off. You press this button, it sprays the water on it. Again, this camera is towards the back of the vehicle, towards the front of the vehicle. So it is 1 camera, not 2 cameras underneath here, but it's definitely helpful when you're off-roading. Back to the main screen, off-road settings. Here's what we have. There's a couple different options that you have. First of all, different auxiliary icons that you can actually set up. And I'm going to show you this. This is pretty cool. So auxiliary, says auxiliary 1, 2, 3. Those are virtual switches. Sometimes you see those switches on the vehicles. You can assign those to different things, right? So let's say we're going to edit this, and you can change the name of it. So you can see how it started blinking. I can actually change the name and put whatever I want in there as far as the name. Now you can also assign a different icon to the auxiliary output. And I gotta tell you, check these icons out. Those guys must have been smoking some real good stuff to come up with this. You can definitely see that it wasn't developed by the guys at GMC, but they had to get out and find somebody that actually has a sense of humor and actually knows how to do that. No offense to the GMC guys, you guys are great at what you're doing. I don't think you're much fun though, but you know, this gives me hope. So different auxiliary outputs can be assigned to different features on it. Cameras we've already seen. What else do I want to show you is this. So this is the air down mode, which means it allows you to deflate the tires when you're off-roading. And basically what you do is you can actually set up a different PSI, and then the air is going to deflate from the tires. Now what I would like to see is the compressor that's built in to put the air back in the tires where you're back on the road. I've seen them on some of the vehicles like Land Rover Defender, and you know, some of the older Hummers even had it. I'm not sure why they really didn't do that. So we're not going to deflate the tires, we're not going off-road. So settings, there's tons of different settings, and again, connections, vehicle, apps, permission, date, time, display, users, privacy, storage. That's actually very similar to what you have on the regular GM system, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. My GMC Studio, rear climate control, trailering, off-road, you know, we've seen all that. Well, let me show you something else. So down below here is a switch or a dial where you can actually change the different drive modes. Now it does have a few functions on it. So first of all, this is raising the vehicle, lowering the vehicle, so the suspension up and down. This is your crab walk. So if I hit this button over here and I hold it, it enables the crab walk, and you know, I'll show you what that is. And you turn this off, it goes back to normal. Now there's another button over here which I didn't know what it was, but if you press this button right here on the screen itself, it says your mode, mission, epic ideas at gmc.com. So that tells you, hey, you know, if you have any ideas about this vehicle or about improvements, send the email to this address. At least that's what I think it means. And then you have several different drive modes. So when you twist that dial, here's what happens. Check this out. Isn't that great? It looks like a video game. Like this, a truck is breaking some kind of a barrier and getting into the mode that it's designed to be in. Now also, I want you to pay attention to this. So here's kicking up dirt, absolutely. Paved roads, no. Respect the watts, use off-road only. So I mean, it also has somewhat of a sense of humor in this. This is not like a very politically friendly or politically correct. Now I like this mode, but check this out. Tow haul. Look at this. This is towing a spaceship, a rocket, or a space shuttle, whatever that is. I'm not too much involved, unfortunately, in the whole moon exploration. Very nice graphics. You can definitely see this was done by the video game people. Super nice screen. It's lagging a little bit, and it looks like sometimes it's too sensitive, sometimes it's not sensitive enough. So there's little bugs here and there that needs to be worked out. Overall, very impressed with this infotainment system. You have your volume knob, power button over here, and then you have these kind of tough looking buttons over here, and that's important because if you're in a cold climate, not always you're going to be able to swipe your hand over the screen to adjust whatever you need, especially if you're wearing gloves. It's probably not going to work. But if you have the buttons that are hard buttons to help you do whatever you need to do, this is pretty cool. Now also, these buttons are called kind of multifunction. So you can see the seat, and when you press this button, it says heated seats, ventilated seats, or you know, we have two options, whether you want to heat it or ventilate it. And then using these buttons over here, that's where you start it. So it opens up kind of that sub menu for it. Several of these buttons have this, like for example, the different air vent settings. Okay, you can have it set up from that sub menu over here. Of course, the show fan button, air recirculating button, of course, the rear window defroster, front window defogger, etc. Here's your heated steering wheel over here, a rear diff lock, rear and front diff locks, and then you have your hazard lights, traction control, you have your parking sensors, and this is your park assist basically. You know, if you want to exit park or park, you can choose that, and then it's going to have the sensor whether the parking spot is on the right hand side, left hand side, parallel, or horizontal parking spaces. So this is pretty cool. I didn't check that out, and I probably won't have time, unfortunately, to check it all out for you. Underneath here, vents, really nice, really rugged looking. You do have your wireless charging below that, as well as the USB-C and the USB that can be closed off if you don't want to look at it. And then if you look at this gear shifter. It's a pretty cool looking gear shifter. Nothing really too crazy about it, but it's more similar to like an Volvo than the GMC. You push this button over here, you put it in drive, you push it forward to put it in reverse, and you push the P for the parking, of course. So that's where your modes, we already went over this, and cup holders on the larger side. You close this off, and you know, this is what you get. Now this is what I have a little bit of a problem with, because this is all kind of this hard plastic materials. I think it could have been done a little bit nicer, maybe with this bronze trim or more of a different texture right over here. And then what we have in here is a console that opens up. Yeah, the vehicle sticker over here. I'm going to post all the equipment that was added to it in the description of this video. And this is pretty much it. I'll show you one more thing before we take it for a spin. What I want to do is actually show you of how that WTF mode engages. So really quick, in order to engage the WTF mode, what you have to do is press the traction control. And there you go. Here's the graphics that comes out. We're not gonna launch right now, but I want you to see something. Okay, in the screen over here, it says Watch to Freedom, and that's the mode that we're in. That's basically the launch mode over here. So right over here, you have the torque, and here it says vehicle will lower, check surroundings, repeated use will accelerate vehicle wear. So say don't do it way too often, then kind of defeats the purpose. But if I hit continue over here, it says vehicle is lowering, dismiss it, and then watch to freedom lowering, and then here's what happens. It's gonna tell me to put my foot on the brake. I'll put it in gear, and it tells me brake harder, and then once this reaches the top, it says floor it. Once I hit my accelerator, it's gonna build up. We're not gonna do it right now, but it's gonna build it all up, and the torque, and then I'm gonna release my brake, and then the vehicle is gonna basically go into some crazy supersonic mode. We're gonna check that out, I promise. So over here, this is what's happening right now. We're on the runway, we're ready to go, and what happens right now, my seat is vibrating. There's a lot of vibration going on with the seat, kind of like, hey, wake up, you should know you are in the launch mode. I'm gonna turn that back on. There you go. I just touched that traction control button on it, actually got out of that watch to freedom mode. And what it does though, it's other than, you know, the launch mode, it actually adjusts, optimizes the battery power, it optimizes the vehicle for the release and for the total launch mode. So a couple more things, and we're going to move on. Right here, here's your mirror monitor. This is the electronic mirror. Pretty cool because it doesn't have a super good visibility, especially if you have this big tire behind you. And one more thing, here, this is what I want to show you. This actually opens up, so you can remove the top panels right here. Those are panels that are removable. You can take them all out, and you can open up this back window, and now you have a pickup truck convertible. How cool is that? And that's electric. So amazing. Let's go back here. Okay, OnStar, SOS, you have your light controls, and this is pretty much it. One more thing, the way that you remove these, kind of like on the Jeep Wrangler, you've seen it, you unlatch them from the rear and from the front. There's another one in the front, and basically slide them out, and then you have provided bags to store them in the front. Super excited to take it for a spin. So what exactly is a crab walk, or I can call it a bar walk basically, because it's facing forward and the wheels are going sideways. So if you walk outside of the bar like this, but your face is still facing forward, that's basically what this Hummer is designed to do. And basically it is to avoid an obstacle that is close to you. Well, I'm going to show you how the Hummer does it, and you let me know who does it better. Once the crab walk is enabled, this is probably one of the weirdest things that you'll do if you are in the vehicle. Check this out, how this vehicle reacts, and It is absolutely crazy. You know what? It does it forward. It also does it backwards. It is insane. It has never, I experienced anything like this in a vehicle. Very innovative. I'm not sure how much I would use it. It kind of freaks me out a little bit, to be honest with you, but it is a pretty cool setup. One of the amazing features of this vehicle is the turning radius. It does have the rear wheel steering, and check out how tight that turning radius is. It is turning on a dime, and you can see those rear wheels helping. As a matter of fact, it has a turning diameter of a vehicle that is much smaller than that. It's a Chevy Sonic, for example. Oh, that Chevy Sonic weighs less than the battery pack on this, and it turns the same. Wow. I'm really going to get to drive this vehicle. I'm super excited about it. This is one of those vehicles that I've been waiting for a long time. And, you know, it's really no comparison to anything that I've ever seen. Now, I've just test driven and done 2 reviews of the Ford F-150. So I guess I have somewhat of a comparison of what an electric pickup truck should be. But this is just a little bit different than that. Pickup truck like the Ford F-150 is more of a traditional approach to the pickup truck. This is completely different. Now this, you have more of a utilitarian, more of a fun approach to it. I'm not really sure of what GM's target audience is in this vehicle. Now, it is $115,000 for this particular one as far as the MSRP. I'm not sure what the selling price of those vehicles are. You know that they're going over sticker. I've seen them all over the place for some crazy amounts of money, but that's what the MSRP is. So we're not going to get to the selling prices because I really have no knowledge. Well, first of all, this one is not for sale, so that's a little bit different. But if you reserve one, I believe you get it at the sticker price. The problem is the edition one, it's all sold out, so you can't really reserve this one. However, you can build one of those edition up to be what this is. And the base one, you know, it's going to have a little less powerful engine. It's going to have a motor, actually. It's going to have 1 motor versus 3 motors. So it's going to be starting at about $86,000 or so. So it's a lot less expensive than this. But you can build that Hummer, I believe they call it EVX3, with the 3 motors in it, just like we have on here. Same horsepower, and you can build that up basically with the same equipment that this one has. It might not have a few of those Easter eggs like we've seen, the American flag, a few of the edition 1 badging, the bronze trim, etc., but it's going to be pretty close. So let's take this on the road really quick, and then I'm going to try to get it into the WTF mode, and that is basically the performance modes. It stands for, you know what? It stands for watts to freedom. It doesn't stand for what you thought it would stand for. It's definitely a performance meaning mode, and I've tested it already. I tell you, you're in for a treat. One thing to mention, you sit up really high on this vehicle. You sit up almost like on the, you know, heavy duty pickup truck. Then it's not even raised. Now we're in the normal drive mode, so in the regular height of this vehicle, but you can raise it, you can also lower it. As a matter of fact, it lowers it if you get into this performance mode. But it's fairly easy to drive, and that's because it has this all-wheel steering. The rear wheels help with the steering as well, so there's definitely a huge advantage that this vehicle has over similar vehicles its size. Very nimble, if you can say that about a 5-ton vehicle. So 9,600 pounds, and it turns like a Chevy Sonic. It's crazy. Battery pack, and even though I don't have like all the data as far as the weight of the battery pack, but I heard that it weighs as much as a compact sedan. It weighs about 3,000 pounds or so. So it's very heavy. Well, it's going to take you a while to charge it, and it does use a lot of electricity, but you know what? It is a Hummer. We're not talking about a Nissan Leaf or Toyota Prius. People are not buying it really for gas savings. They're buying it for the uniqueness of this vehicle. They're buying it because it's cool, and it really is. Now, I haven't done the Rivian R1T, which a lot of people are putting it up against this Hummer, but I've seen it, and it is a lot smaller. And I can see a lot of people might be switching from the G-Wagons and looking into this Hummer EVs just because it does have this cool factor, and it also has a range of 330 or so when this battery is fully charged. Now we have about 158 miles left on this battery. So first driving impressions. First of all, you know, it drives, you know, it's a big truck, so you can see that you're sitting up on top of everybody, but it doesn't feel like it once you're inside of it. Now, it does have this one pedal driving, so it does have this regen braking that helps with recharging the battery while driving. So if I let my foot off the gas, just like pretty much most of the electric vehicles are, it slows down, and it slows down fairly aggressively. It's quiet, it creates some noise, and I think those are the tires that are making this noise, because as you've noticed, those tires are pretty knobby. They're more meant for an off-road than on-road use, so therefore there will create some noise in here. I'm curious about this roof. You know, I've had some people complaining about the water getting inside of this vehicle before because of some design issues on here. However, you know, I haven't experienced that. Obviously, it hasn't rained. It does make a little bit of noise when you drive and you go over some of the bumps. You can hear the flexing of this roof. So I'm curious to see of how that's gonna hold up in the long run. You know, what's pretty cool about it, you know, it does have, you sit up high, but the windshield is it's kind of narrow, you know, so you have a limited view. But having this open, having this roof, and having the amount of light coming in here definitely, you know, makes up for it a little bit at least. So we're gonna go over some speed bumps over here and see how that suspension absorbs it. And I gotta tell you, it's like it's nothing. It's like the speed bumps are not existent. Which, all right, guys, so I'm ready to go. I enabled this watch to freedom. Basically, turn off the traction control, hold the button. It's gonna get you into watch to freedom mode. It says, you know, floor it, holding the brake. You build up all of that torque, and it's gonna say release the brake, which right now, this is what we're doing. Ready? Go. Whoa. Holy crap. Wow, this is incredible. This vehicle is screaming, right? It does have so much torque, so much power. When they're saying 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, you better believe it. This is one incredible pickup. I think it's one of the fastest vehicles out there. Matter of fact, it is faster than the Lamborghini Urus, and you know, it's cheaper than that too. So if you're looking for a performance 9600 pickup truck, you know, I guess you found one. This definitely would make my list of the dream vehicles. Unfortunately, I'm not the place where I could easily afford a $100,000 vehicle, but if I was, that definitely would make the list. So awesome. And you know what, all the noises that we heard as far as driving it in this Watch to Freedom, this was Bose enhanced audio. So that would give you that takeoff mode, that acceleration mode, and all that stuff. We're back in the regular mode, guys, and I gotta tell you, I mean, I would want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So, you know, it's like, it's an incredible experience. It's nothing that I ever felt like in the car before, and I've tested some different vehicles. Now, you know, I've tested a Ferrari that was, you know, just about 3 seconds, 0 to 60. Of course, the new Corvette can do just about that, but it's a completely different experience. And, you know, I'm not saying that this is better necessarily. It's completely different, because you really don't expect this 5-ton or close to 5-ton pickup truck to do all of that, which, you know, brings me to another thing. And I hate to be a spoiler, but, you know, a lot of people are going to buy it, and a lot of people are going to do what I just did, except not in the safe environment like I did, but on the road. And that can cause a lot of accidents. And in my opinion, a lot of people underestimate that this is a huge and a very massive pickup truck, and you know, you have to be really careful about what you do. Now, as far as the regular driving, you know, I really do like it. I think it handles a lot better than I thought it would, you know, as far as turning, as far as the overall handling. There's a couple things, though, right away that I can feel that might be an issue. I know that they had some problems with water getting inside of this vehicle. I think they're fixing it, or there's already a fix in the works, or GM is pulling it out to the new owners. But also, all of those panels right here that are removable, they're making some flexing noise. So when the vehicle are going over bumps, you can definitely feel what's going on up there. So I hope it's not going to become an issue in the future. The second thing, you know, is the rear seat. The rear seat is not exactly the most comfortable seat out there. And, you know, I know it's a pickup truck, but if you're spending $100,000+, you know, you kind of expect a little bit better than that. And with that said, you know, as far as the quality, I love all the tech, all of the graphics, all of the noises that it makes, and the fancy stuff. But, you know, there's still a lot of materials right on the side here, on the door panels, that are this hard plastic materials, and I just don't think there's a place for it if you're spending that kind of money on the vehicle. So that could be improved. With all that said, let's all get the negative. That was all the negative that I can think of about this vehicle. Now, all of the positive stuff. Love the performance. Obviously, you see the smile on my face with the Watts to Freedom. You know, it does have a great acceleration. It has a tremendous off-road capability. You know, that crab walk, I mean, I think it's more for show. I know what the purpose of it was, if off-road, to avoid obstacles, but I think a lot more people are going to do that on the road than off the road, just to kind of show off. The conversation started. The all-wheel steering, the rear-wheel steering, it's absolutely amazing. It allows this vehicle to turn in the radius where, you know, the Chevy Sonic turns. And the Chevy Sonic is the size of its battery on this truck. So, I mean, you get the difference of the rear wheel steering with this one, definitely. The design of it, absolutely amazing. It reminds me of that old Humvee without being this old and worn out military truck. That does have a lot modern amenities in there, and it looks absolutely amazing. It looks better in person than it does on pictures. If you haven't seen one, you know, find a dealership that has one, just go in there, just take a look at it. If you're lucky enough, they might be able to let you test drive it. And if you want to reserve one, you know, there's a waiting list on them. There's a long waiting list on them. I think it takes about 2+ years if you put your name on the list to actually get one delivered. Well, the good part about it is that you can actually configure it a little bit different than this. This is the first edition. Probably the edition one would be the one that I would go for. I don't mind the white color. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I think all of the features that are on this car is something that I would want on the one that I would order. But if you don't want to spend quite that much money, they're starting at about $86,000 for the single motor one, and if you want the 3-motor one, you know, it goes up to about $95,000. And then you can, of course, you know, add stuff to it. You can definitely take it over $100,000, but that's still probably better than getting it on the secondary market, which is a lot more than that. So overall, really impressed with the car. I liked it more than I thought I did. I'm really glad I did that. And I hope you liked that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you did, do me a favor, give me that thumbs up. It means a lot to me. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, you can do so by going to the right-hand corner of your screen, hitting that subscribe button. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.